Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bari Connected Podcast. And tonight we're being joined by Bari-Nation. We have Natalie, April, and Jason all here with us that have joined. And we're going to be talking about cultivating self-love, self-acceptance, talking about all that inner stuff that comes out whenever we start on this surgical weight loss journey. And I'm excited because we have all three of them here together tonight. Would you guys like to all say hi?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Jason. I am one of the co-founders of Bari-Nation. I had VSG March 11th of 2020, and I had revision to, wow, it's a hard time spitting that one out. That's never happened. I had revision to SADI December of 23, and I'm just happy to be here with everybody.
Yeah, I'm Natalie. I, again, am one part of the BariNation Founders, and I've had three bariatric surgeries. I had lap band in 2009, had some complications. I had a revision to what's called a placation, which they don't really do anymore. And then about 10 years later, I decided to give it another shot, and I got VSG, down 140 plus or minus pounds, and we're doing it, and I'm just so excited. I'm really excited about this topic and excited to be here with April and Jason today. We're not always all on the same screen anymore, so I'm excited.
My name is April Williams. I am 1/3 of Bari-Nation with Jason and Nat. I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy in July of 2019. I have lost 120 pounds, currently battling some regain, but that is the disease of obesity. It is lifelong and chronic. So working my way through that and thrilled to be with everybody tonight as well.
Take myself off mute here. And I'd love for one of you guys to tell us a little bit more about what Bari-Nation is. A lot of these people probably know. We may even have some Bari-Nation people because this is actually streamed within Bari-Nation. Bari-Nation has all different kinds of speakers, all different kinds of professionals, and patients as well that are within the community. And I'd love for you guys to tell us more about what that looks like in what you do in your community.
Nat, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, of course. So we are an online community platform where we host live events. We have a constant share here feed, and we're a safe online space for you to meet other bariatric patients, to learn and grow alongside other bariatric patients. We have kind of like we have four now, four pillars of bariatric success that we focus on every single day: movement, mindset, metabolic wellness, and community, which is what we kind of say is our foundation to bariatric success in general. So, yeah, we host live classes led by expert dietitians and experts within the bariatric field. We have support groups that are also led by expert therapists that usually specialize in bariatrics or eating and metabolic wellness. And then we have meetups that are led by peers like myself, April, and Jason. And those are casual hours to really get to know other folks who are interested in similar topics, or maybe they're on the same kind of journey stage as you. We really kind of have it all as far as getting that knowledge and connecting with others in a really safe, monitored community.
Well said. It's and I think too, you guys have been very active within the community in ways of going to like events throughout the US and showing up in person as well. So you have this online community that you've built, but I also have seen you at so many different places to kind of be able to connect with people on a different level there too. And I know you guys have some things coming up, and I know Jason just attended something recently. So tell us about some of the things that you've been involved in there.
So recently we did So Chris from the Bariatric Society and Bari-Nation, we teamed up together to start doing some of the men's meetups where guys could get together and just kind of talk about, talk through some of the deals that men go through as bariatric patients, because as we talk about all the time, like, we love that we get support from everybody in the community, but at the same time, there's just certain things that, guys don't want to talk about in mixed company. So it helps for us to get together as men and just kind of talk about certain things. We had a surgeon that came and hung out with us and talked about some stuff. Like, it was a really good time to get together with other guys in the community and just have that fellowship and just get together and talk about things. We are an online community, but at the same time, as many events that we can get to in person, we try to make, whether it's, local meetups that we can throw or just show up to. Doesn't even have to be, something that we host. It just helps us getting out in front of people and just getting to kind of see and connect in that way in person just really takes it over the top for us. Like, we love our online digital hosting because it lets us reach wide, far and wide without, having to actually be there. But at the same time, if we can get there, like, we love that too.
Yeah, April and I literally last night just attended an event thrown by a Bari-Nation member, that we were so ecstatic to see our friends, and someone, I hugged her goodbye and she goes, "See you in the square," and because we see each other in the little squares. So it's always just so wonderful to go from, cultivating such deep, meaningful friendships here in the square, right? And taking them out of the square, out of Bari-Nation, on to being able to hug people and really get to know people on an even deeper level. It's just so wonderful, and we love when we get to do that, and partner with other, bariatric society, with members who want to cultivate those relationships. We're so happy when we get to do that.
And do you have something coming up? Because I know you said you're going to be traveling soon to Florida, or is that a personal trip?
We have a couple adventures that we are going to be taking this year. And some of them are a little bit under the radar right now. And that's okay. Our goal in 2025 is to really grow and expand Bari-Nation, and help everybody thrive, including our organization. So we're really hoping that, here in the near future, we're going to be able to talk about some of the opportunities that we are hoping we'll have this year in 2025 to meet people kind of in real life. But our main focus is those online connections. We understand that people have crazy schedules, that everybody has different responsibilities in life, and traveling can be a barrier. It can be a financial barrier. In our Bari-Nation community, you get to connect with hundreds and hundreds of people every day, every week, every month. And that's where we really establish those deep, lasting connections. So it's where we spend a majority of our time is behind the computer in those squares, building those relationships. And then when we do have the opportunity to go and meet people in person, we absolutely cherish those moments. So hopefully some fun things coming up here in 2025.
I can't wait to hear what kind of events do you have coming up this year that you'll be attending that people can see you in person?
We honestly haven't even figured that out yet. We know that there are a ton of bariatric centered events that are happening. We also have a growing network of surgeons that we partner with around the country. So our hope is that we can kind of travel to those partnership destinations. We can meet people there in person, and then we can see people in real life. Like Bariatric Society Retreat is happening in October, right? I think the Just Be You Bariatric Awards is happening in April. So we really do try to get to as many places as we can. It's a little bit challenging for us though. Jason, Natalie, and I, we all have full-time jobs. So Bari-Nation is not our full-time job. Bari-Nation is not what's helping us pay the rent or the mortgage. So we truly pour our heart and soul into it on the times that we can. But it means that we're a little bit limited still in the amount of time that we can actually take off to go and travel and do all those things. So we do the best that we possibly can, which is why, right, the absolute best way to connect with us is in the BariNation membership community. We are attending support groups, meetup, and classes as patients, just like you. And then Jason and Natalie and I'm going to start host in BariNation as well. So it's where we just get to know one another as friends, as patients, as people. And it's where we get to learn about those fun local things, like what Natalie was mentioning last night. We just had a member of our community who's here in Washington, not because she lives here, but she's out here helping family. And she's like, hey, I want to get together with people. Awesome, great. Tell us when and where. If we can make it, we will be there. So yeah, it is an amazing organization that brings so much hope into our bariatric lives when we're kind of feeling a little bit low on it. Because as amazing and magnificent as this journey is, there are plenty of moments of doubt and shame and guilt and blame and all of those things that we don't want to feel after surgery, but we just do. So BariNation is our safe place to work through those things and to really get a pathway forward when we're having a hard time finding one.
You know, there's nothing like having another person to talk to who understands what you're going through. So let's jump into the topic tonight. And the title is From the Inside Out, Cultivating Self-Love, Self-Care After Bariatric Surgery. And we're going to talk about the essentials of personal fulfillment and sharing some strategies that have helped each of you embrace this concept. So let's kind of just dive into that topic. Who would like to start, and where would you like to start?
I can start. I'll be more than happy to, and we can start wherever, whatever you have loaded first, we can go.
I say we jump right in. But I love to know for each of you what that's looked like, because like what it maybe look like coming in to having bariatric surgery and maybe what it looks like now. Because I feel like the term self-love, and after you guys share, I'll even share. It's kind of like one of those things for every person, their journey is just so different. And I think the word love sometimes can be misconstrued of what that looks like in self-care, what that can look like. It's so generalized, you know.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. It's one of the biggest things that I realized pre-op is I loved things about myself, but I didn't really truly love myself, so to speak, because I never really took that very seriously as I was going through life. It was like I was going through the motions, I was doing the things. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do. I got married, I had the kids, I had the family, I did the things, I got the job, I did the work, and was just kind of navigating through without really participating so much in my day to day until I, looked up and I was at 468 pounds, and I really was sidelined at that point. Like at that point, I wasn't just navigating through life. I was just existing. Like my whole life was living around me. I wasn't, yeah, I was kind of, it had to, the kind of orbit was around me. It had to be because I couldn't really move a whole lot to do anything else. So it wasn't until post-op, because a lot of people say they have that, like the self-love thing comes when they decide to choose themselves and have surgery, but that didn't happen with me. Like I decided to have the surgery because I wanted to be around for my kids, for my family, for my grandbabies, all those things. But it wasn't really like I didn't come to terms with how I felt about myself until far post-op. Like once I got post-op and started kind of realizing and doing some of the head work, was when I realized that I was more than just my role. I was more than just a dad, than a father, than a BariNation founder, than a surgical patient. I was more than all of those things. And it really took a lot of digging down deep to find the core of what that is. And I tell people all the time, like the loudest voice you're going to hear all day is the one inside your head. And you have to make sure that it says kind things to you, because we're the first person to just drag ourselves down. And it's easy because that's just what we're used to. And until you step out of that and quiet that voice, you can't start doing the important work, because that voice is going to be loud forever. Like, it's never going to quiet down. So you just have to change the narrative and the things that it says to you. So if you had the choice to have somebody that loudly criticized you all the time, or if you could have somebody cheering you on in your head the whole time, which would you choose? Everybody's going to choose, everybody wants the cheerleader. So if you do start, putting the work in ahead of time, you can create that cheerleader inside your head for you, that it's going to lift you up and boost you up and tell you on days that may look a little darker that you got to pull yourself out of it and go. Like, you still have to do it, even though on the days you don't want to do it. Today was one of those days for me. Like, I woke up ready to go to the gym and do it, because I have this whole never miss a Monday mindset since I've been going to the gym. But today was definitely I can miss a Monday. Like, I was trying to find every reason in the world to miss. Usually I get up at 5:45. I'm at the gym by like 6:05. I didn't walk in the gym today till 7 o'clock, because I ho-hummed around. I sat in my car. I cleared every notification on my phone, when I usually just swipe them all out to clear them and then go back later and look. Nope, I picked through every single one, did all the things, because I'm dealing with a little nagging injury in my arm, so I can't lift as heavy as I'm used to lifting. I've got, I'm tired because I didn't really sleep good last night. I wasn't feeling 100%. So I found ways to try to talk myself out of going. But it wasn't until I picked myself up out of the car, changed my mindset from the I don't want to do this to the, oh, we're doing this and we're going to make the best of it, because it's an hour and 10 minutes out of your day. Like, this is going to set the tone for the whole rest of your day. So just go do it now. And, the whole rest of the day is set. And it wasn't until I went in and got in and started doing the things that my body really kind of started responding and kicked in. Because there are times where some like motivation is one of those things that's never coming for us. Like, it's never going to knock on the door and go, come on, let's go. Like, you have to, the consistency is what breeds that motivation. And I consistently got myself in the gym today, and it bred the motivation to change my mindset and have a better rest of my day.
Mhm. Yeah, I know for myself it was more of a like never feeling worthy of feeling joy or feeling confident. Like, that's imposter syndrome was always so strong for me. If I felt good about myself, or if I felt happy or confident in myself, I thought, girl, look in the mirror. Like, I would be like, you don't deserve that. Like, look at you. And I did a lot of work prior to having my most recent surgery. A lot of times I will only reference this surgery just because it's the one that I did the most work on for myself. I was so young the other two times. But I really did do a lot of work leading up to my VSG surgery. And um, even at my highest weight, 400 pounds, like, I was like, I'm just gonna love myself no matter what. I'm gonna give myself kind of the grace to eat what I want, wear what I want, do what I want with my hair, wear the makeup I want, because I like it and I deserve to like it. Even if maybe looking back on pictures, I'm like, I don't know why I did that now, but in the moment, I thought, I'm just gonna enjoy life, and I'm gonna I'm gonna give myself the permission to love myself and to love the life that I live. And then I had the surgery, and then there comes a lot of the second guessing that I know a lot of us feel. There comes the loose skin, our bodies changing super rapidly, and I kind of lost it again. And then I can't remember where I saw it. I think it was a podcast or an Instagram video, but someone was talking about how if you start at neutral, if you start at this, like, you're not down here at self-loathing and you're not up here at positivity, you're just kind of in this middle ground. If you can kind of just be like, yeah, my body is what it is right now. This just is. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just is what it is. If you sit in that ground, it's a lot easier to go up to like loving yourself. It's less of a jump. And so I worked really hard in therapy to say, how can I just constantly, like, no matter what I ate, no matter how, even bariatric wise, like, if I made a choice to eat a cookie instead of a Built Bar for my dessert, okay, like you chose to eat a cookie. All right, it is what it is. And I would say it is what it is. And I would make a note of it of like, okay, maybe we work on this later or, something. But in the moment, it was neither good nor bad. And so I think for me, it was let's just stay in this state of neutral. And I feel like that's kind of where I live most of the time. And if I feel really good about myself, great. But I know that I can always land softly in this place of neutrality. And so for me, that's been the biggest piece to me is just how can I live in this place of neutral?
Nat, I appreciate you saying that. We talk about this oftentimes in BariNation when we see things on social media or when we're talking about self-love or self-acceptance. Love and acceptance is a huge place to get to. And it is kind of unrealistic for us to think that we are just going to instantly start practicing self-love and we will feel self-love for ourselves. I think the first step in this is just acknowledging where you're at and what you truly think about yourself, your body, what you've accomplished, right? All of those things. That's actually step one, is just getting clear on where you're actually at right now with how you feel about yourself. And those of you who know me well know self-love makes me kind of cringe a little bit because that's just not who I am. But what I have been replacing that word with is what is going to bring myself joy in this moment? What is going to make me feel at peace? What's going to make me feel happy? What's going to help me feel the way that I want to feel? And when I ask myself those questions and then I take actions that help me feel those things, that is me showing love to myself. Um, and that's, I think, kind of a missing piece sometimes of this self-love journey. It's not about instantly loving ourselves, especially when we have spent years probably not loving ourselves. Um, and the other thing that I think really helps along this journey too, when we're talking about self-love, which we talk about all the time in Bari-Nation, obesity is a lifelong and chronic disease. And for many of us, surgery is not going to be the lasting cure. The disease will continue to represent in our lives. It will reoccur. And just to know that is a pathway for us to actually really practice this gratitude and this love for ourselves. Because when we can all of a sudden see the difference between, oh, wait a minute, this isn't me, this is the disease. The disease is messing with my brain. The disease is changing the way that my body can process foods. The disease is presenting again like it's kind of supposed to do. So this isn't a me problem. This is I'm battling a disease. And the more distance you can kind of get between you, yourself, who you are, and the disease, you can fill that void with this love and appreciation, this gratitude for who you are now and for who the person you've always been. Because the 5-year, 10-year, 20-year ago you was a rock star. It did exactly what it needed to do to keep you alive, and it was battling the disease without any type of meaningful treatment. You were doing that 100% on your own, and that makes you absolute rock star status. So, when you're going through this bariatric process, no matter if you're pre or post-op, getting that space between you and the disease is your opportunity for that self-acceptance and that self-love to shine through.
I really appreciate that too. And another thing I wanted to add was April, you taught me, this was 3, almost 4 years ago. And you said something about like when you put lotion on after you shower, right? You're just like, oh, my body is smaller. This is the shape of my arms now. Like just getting to a place of like, this is just what it is. And I appreciate and love, like, these arms have held and hugged so many people I love. These legs have gotten me to and from where I need to be in a safe way. Like, if you can just get to a point of like, this is just my body now, and this is, yeah, or even like you said, April, about, 10, 15 years ago, us battling the disease without any tools. Like, our body was doing whatever it could do to keep us safe, and alive. Like, maybe not safe, but alive. Like, it was just doing anything it could. And I think just having those reminders can give us so much more love and appreciation to our bodies.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is people kind of have a kind of misconception of it's going to happen really quickly. Like you're just going to all of a sudden love your body and love yourself and love your mindset, and that's not always the case. Like if that's the case for you, high five, because that means you are in an amazing place to start with, and that's great. But also don't get down on yourself if it doesn't happen as fast as you want it to, because it does take work. It's not easy. It's going to be one of those things that, it does take time, and you have to legitimately kind of weed out the thoughts that are going on in your head. Because like April said, you have to bring in appreciation for the before you so that you can appreciate the you now. And it's not even at like, so like, one of the best things that, Nat had talked about um a couple of years ago, she kind of came to the realization that like everybody wants the after. Like everybody sees the before, but they want the after, but what's in the middle they want that to just be a blur. They want that to just be passing by really quickly so they can get to the after. But the thing is that the after is where we stay. Like that's the present. Like now is the after. And the after goes from now until we're no longer here. And so every day is the after and should be appreciated, because the how we look today is just how we look today. And like it's to be appreciated because we don't look like we did before. We don't feel like we did before. We've done more mental work than we did before. So I mean, there's lots of things that we can be appreciative of on that way to finding the self-love path. Like it's not going to be something where you just wake up from surgery and go, damn, I love myself now. I'm feeling great. Like this is dope. Like if we would love it if that was to happen, but they don't do surgery on that. They don't mess with our head. They don't do any of that other stuff. They just strictly work on our stomach and get us to that point. We have to do the leg work and the heavy lifting, and that's one of the things that we strive to kind of the message we strive to kind of bring across in the BariNation membership community all the time is that like the work starts here, and you're the one, like we're here to spot you, but you're still going to have to do the heavy lifting, and that starts whenever you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
I think that some of the key points like that you've said, with where you are when you begin and where you are now, really, you guys, it's not like this transition of, okay, now I love myself because I've lost the weight. It's you have to remember that surgery is surgery and it doesn't always change everything. And so if you can just be present with yourself along that journey. And for me, I think some of the things that you said, Natalie, about emotional stability have taught me a lot, just keeping things more neutral, because that definitely can help. But I think in my day, just building certain habits and routines. Jason was talking about going to the gym. And for me, that was always a really hard thing. I think taking the time out for yourself, I always felt guilty about that. I don't even know why. My kids are raised and they're out of the house. And I'm like, I have more time than I've ever had. I work from home. So my job is very flexible. So I think like setting up routines for yourself, that is actually self-care. That is self-love, choosing yourself. Like what is more important? Being on, like I can get up in the morning. Jason, you were talking about checking your phone. If I get up like on a day that I'm not working out and I'll just sit in the recliner, drink my coffee, I'll sit on my phone for an hour. Time goes by like that. And it's an hour that I could have spent doing something to make myself happier, like mentally, emotionally. And so I think for me, like deciding, like it's about choices. It's about deciding where you want your emotions to lie, whether you want them to be, really low, or you decide if you want them to be more neutral, or if there are things that you find that bring you joy, bring those in your life. Like April asked in the comment section, what things can make you happy. So for me, a normal day, some of those things that would be self-care, self-love would be, building a habit of like you were talking about working out. It would be, deciding that I'm going to do mindset work. I do mindset work every single day. Sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's a couple hours. It's one of those things I've just decided I'm gonna do. Right now, I'm doing some classes on memory work because I've found myself forgetting certain things. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be doing that. So every week might be a little different, and sometimes I change it around. For me too, your choices around what you're eating and putting in your body, because your body is your temple of where your soul, puts out. So that is a form of self-love and self-care of choosing what you're doing. Medications, if there's medications that are helping you along the journey and supporting you, whether it's a GLP-1, for me it was that, it was hormone replacement therapy, it's taking my blood pressure medicine. It's doing those things that keep my health where it needs to be. That's a form of self-love, self-care. It's about spending time with people that you enjoy spending time with, building joy into your day. So, anyways, keep going, guys. Tell us too. I'd like to know what are some things each of you do, and include too, if you're joining this call on our live, I'd love for you guys to be a part of this. Tell us what things you do for self-care, self-love, those things that you build into your daily routine that you're showing up for yourself in some way.
Mine has been like I was talking about earlier, going to the gym. I used to tell everybody that my clock only had one 5:45 on it, and it had to pee after it. You weren't catching me in the morning. I didn't do before 6. I didn't do any of that funny business. And my job, I work from home, and my work doesn't start until between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. And I was sleeping until 8:20, and then I would go like directly to the computer and like log in and then do my stuff. And then I started realizing that there's no reason that I can't go to the, because I would say the same things that everybody else. Like I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have, I can't work it in there. I don't have to, like, I don't have a ride. I don't have a this. I don't have a that. I gave myself 1,000 excuses. And it wasn't until one Sunday night I just decided, I was like, you know what? I've been paying for a gym membership for over a year and haven't been one time. I was like, I've kept the lights on in the place and never been. Wasn't even driving by it. Wasn't even in the neighborhood of it. So I set my alarm, because that was my thing. Like, I talked myself up about it all day long, and I was like, I'm not going to do it until I just set the alarm. So I set my alarm for 5:45 for that Monday morning. I showed up, I went, I did a workout, and then I just decided, I was like, I'm just going to leave it on. So when I leave it on, it sets it for Monday through Friday, and I just go. So I get up every morning. So the deal I made with myself is we're going to get up and we're going to go. Actually, when I first started, I was like, I'm going to go 3 days a week. We'll see. We'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll see how it goes. Because I usually have never been a morning workout person. Like, if I work out, it's in the afternoon or the evening time because I'm awake and like ready to go. But this time I was like, I'm just going to see. So I did Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It went out. It went great. Then by the second week, my body on Tuesday was like, hey, why aren't we doing the Monday thing? And I was like, that feels kind of weird. So Wednesday came, I went and worked out. So Thursday, I just went ahead and set my alarm for that Thursday. So I did Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So then by then, at that point, I just went ahead and set it for Monday through Friday. And I haven't looked back yet. It's been 8 months now. I've been going every single morning. So I have enough time that I get to the gym, I work out, and I still have time to come back, lay down for like, 30, 45 minutes before I have to get up and start my day. And it's made a tremendous change in my physical health, my mental health, my outlook on my days. Like, because I get to, usually when I'm working from home, I don't go anywhere. I stay at home all the time, unless we happen to do something on the weekends. But my wife works all through the week out of the house, so by the weekend comes, she just wants to hang out at the house. So that's kind of our tug of war back and forth sometimes. But setting that consistency for myself every single day, Monday through Friday, has been a huge game changer. And then once we started kind of, April, Natalie, and myself made the striking realization that we've created this amazing community of experts and leaders for all these great supports in the community. And then we weren't using them ourselves because we were so busy building and upkeep and recruiting new experts that we weren't taking advantage of the help we created. So once we started kind of jumping in and taking those classes, attending those classes for ourselves and leading some of those supports, it really has like that's the second part to the mindset and the body work I've been doing has been the mindset work that I've come across in Bari-Nation, and it's been awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know for myself, walking, I have a dog, for anyone who doesn't know, Hooper. I do love to walk him. I had a lot of chronic illness and just disruption to my routine last year, and I craved walking him every single day, and it was either my body was in pain or it was smoky outside. There were so many factors. So picking up, my walks with him in the morning, either listening to a podcast or just enjoying the silence for a little bit before my day gets crazy. But I also like so appreciate my morning coffee and the like with him, and um the curiosity, you put that in the chat, April. I got really curious at the beginning of the year, and I thought, I haven't been reading that much, like for pleasure, right? It's been a lot of self-help and um things like that. So I decided I'm gonna read a fun, what I call a fun book, once a month. And so instead of the doom scrolling on my phone, I'm reading on my Kindle, or I'm listening to an audiobook, or I'm, something to get ready for the day. And it's just that little bit of quiet time before my crazy day, commuting to work, having to work, getting home, taking care of Hooper, and then getting on, like Jason said, getting on in Bari-Nation. Hosting, though, has become a huge form of self-care. Attending has also been a huge form of self-care. That community piece is just vital to my self-love. There are some times where schedules don't align and I miss one, or they're not on the calendar like they usually are for whatever reason. And I'm like, man, I was looking forward to that time, So then I choose to, connect in other ways, but definitely connecting with community on top of having that quiet time and that solitude in the morning has been just huge and vital for me.
I feel like I've been on a self-love overdrive for the last couple months, but it's because I was neglecting it for so long. So booking those appointments that you've been avoiding is self-love. Starting a medication that you really need is self-love. Having tough conversations with yourself about where you're at in life and right, the disease and all that kind of stuff, it is self-love. And the thing that has, I guess, just really helped me the most is somebody really pushed me to get curious, because I always say, I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I don't have children, but there is just so many responsibilities that I feel like exist in my life. So children, no children, it doesn't matter. We're human and we have a lot of responsibilities. But if you continue to put them first, you will always be last. And the only thing that is going to change that is you just saying no. You do have the time. You absolutely have the time, because you are saying yes to everything that is going on in your life. Making a little tweak to take 5 minutes away from something that you're doing and you realize is not helping you, and giving it back to yourself is a form of self-love. You just have to do it. You just have to try it. Lean into curiosity and say, I wonder what it would be like if I did this before I did anything for anybody else. And it's not putting your needs ahead of others. It's putting your needs equal to others. So if you just make that mindset shift in your brain, if you just start saying, I'm not putting myself in front of other people or ahead of other people, I'm putting myself equal with others. And I value that. I am just as important as the other people who are in my life, or these other responsibilities. And you just do it and don't apologize for it. Just do it and see what you feel like, see what happens. But when I started doing it, I was amazed at how nobody else in my life suffered, but things for me only got better. Things, a path forward became much clearer. But you're not going to find it out until you just do it.
I think it's so powerful what you said about I don't have time. I made that excuse about reading last year, right? Like I don't have time to read a fun book. It has to be a workbook and it has to be a self-help because you gotta constantly be improving. And I'm like, but I
Well,
missed it, right?
it's like that self-fulfilling prophecy. If you continue to tell yourself, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time, guess what? You don't have time.
Yeah.
But you really do. And just making that switch to go, I do have the time. I am going to find the time, make the time, take the time, whatever word you want to use. That is like step one. Nope, I do have the time.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and
that
it's all oh, I'm sorry,
no,
Natalie, I apologize. It's like we see these things that we do that like if we spend an hour watching Netflix versus an hour, you know, going to the gym, an hour playing on our phone versus playing on your phone versus an hour walking outside in nature. Um, Maria over on Facebook was talking about being in nature and how much that means to her. That's one of her favorite things to do. Um, we forget that we don't have to, like when our kids need something, like I do have kids and my kids are grown now, but like I can remember it being almost like a lost place for a while. Like after they left, you're so used to dropping everything and doing everything for them. So if they asked me to do something, I was right there with them doing it, whether it be a going to a baseball game, going to whatever. But we forget we need to do that for ourselves. We need to drop everything and go for ourselves. Sorry, Natalie, go right ahead now.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to say like it goes back to the deserving, right? Like, do you deserve like I think about taking walks with my dog, and I think it's for him. No, it's for the both of us. I deserve to get outside and breathe fresh air and listen to the birds, and I deserve that just as much as he does. I agonize over the food that he eats. I should be agonizing over the food that I eat. I deserve to do that. And I'm childless, like it's me and him, but there are so many times where I'm like, no, but my dog has like I have to do this for him and then I'm eating food that I'm like I wouldn't serve him, or and it's the same with kids, it's the same with all this. So the time thing really comes down to do I deserve to carve out an hour for myself to read a book in the morning? Yeah, I do. Do I deserve to carve out time, right, Jason, to go to the gym in the morning? Yeah, I do. And I think that's where that self-love component, what it really boils down to is we deserve it. Like we deserve it at any size, any stage of our journeys. If you're watching this and you're like totally unsure about bariatric surgery in general, you deserve it. If that's something that you are really curious about, join us in Bari-Nation, learn about what the work, we call it the work of weight loss surgery, learn about it. Learn about what it is because you deserve to understand and know and take the step if that's something that you want.
Well, it's funny you mentioned, one of the things is you felt like when you didn't have time to read, you felt like you had to always be improving, so you couldn't read a fun book. When in reality, reading that fun book would have been improving you too,
Yep.
because it gives you the chance to escape whatever's going on,
Yeah.
recharge, kind of revamp, and then come back to it. Because a lot of times that's what we, when we get to we've talked a lot over the years about self-care is not selfish because you can't pour from an empty cup. And so, regardless of what that hour looks like, regardless of what that hour looks like to you, whether it is, sometimes it will be scrolling, sometimes it will be, reading a fun book, sometimes it'll be walking or movement, but it's going to look different to all of us at different times. And there's nothing wrong with that being a fluid motion. Like just because I go to the gym on Friday, I ain't going to the gym on Saturday. I'm sitting right in my bed. I'm watching TV. I host my Space and Grace at 11 o'clock in the morning, get to see my people, a little bit of FaceTime. And the rest of the day if I unplug and don't talk to anybody, that's just how I recharge and get ready for the next week. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I've done, it's just different when, depending on your mood that day. And there, the thing is, we getting into shaming ourselves over what we did or didn't do, or what we should have done or could have done. And like the great Lord Graybo says, don't should on yourself, because shooting on yourself doesn't help anything. Just because you didn't do it today doesn't mean you can't do it tomorrow, or you can't do it later today. Just because you spend an hour scrolling in the morning doesn't mean you can't walk later in the day. So don't ever think that you're confined to what didn't happen at the certain hour, because the day can always be moved around.
I was going to say, preach, Jason.
Yeah.
Self-love, self-acceptance doesn't have to be tricky. I think we make it tricky in our head because we think we don't deserve it. We think we don't have time. We think we're not worthy, right? We think that we can't get there until everybody else's needs are met. That is all a false narrative that we have been telling ourselves for years. And regardless of where those narratives came into our life, we actually have the power and the control to reframe that, to shift our mindset, to reframe that narrative and say different things to us. I do have the time. I am worthy of this. I deserve this. This is going to help me feel more whole. This is going to connect me back with myself, whatever those words are. But it really all starts with what you are saying and thinking to yourself. It starts with what is up here. And just because you're having surgery or you've had surgery, it doesn't touch this thing up here. This is the work of weight loss surgery. And we know how challenging and difficult it could be. And it's literally why we created BariNation. It's why Brenda's here. It's why ProCare is here. It's why so many of these amazing organizations exist, is because we know how challenging this journey is. And we want to help others find a pathway forward, right? We have walked some of those pathways, so we're happy to share. But when we do this learning in community, we discover those pathways together. And that's what makes it just so powerful.
Natalie and Jason, you have any closing thoughts too?
I think for me it's and I threw it in the chat too, but we get overwhelmed thinking that self-love is a huge, outlandish, giant, like going to a spa or, setting up a whole day just for ourselves. It doesn't have to be that. It can be these little everyday changes and changes in our thoughts and our actions that add up to the overarching self-love. But if you have been wanting to do something for a while, start doing it. Start figuring it out. Start taking the 10-15 minute walk in the morning, or start a book that you're not sure if you're going to like it or not, but at least you're reading. Just do those little everyday things and make those little everyday changes, and they'll add up to bigger, more important changes later on. More important. That's not necessarily the word I wanted, but just larger changes overall.
Yeah. I would say sometimes it comes down to having really raw, honest conversations with yourself, because we are the greatest salespeople. We can talk ourselves into or out of anything depending on the day and the time. If we decide, like we've told ourselves for so long we didn't have time, or we weren't worth it, or whatever those things are, we can sell ourselves on that mindset. But we can also sell ourselves on the mindset of getting up and going to the gym every morning, or taking Hooper for a walk, or doing the things like April has been doing to explore her self-love journey. Like, there are things that we can do that we can talk ourselves into the same way that we talk ourselves out of doing things. And those honest, raw conversations are hard. They're not going to be easy. But guess what? Those raw, honest conversations got us to where we are today. It either gave you the power to decide you were going to have the surgery and lose the weight and commit to the lifestyle and do those things, or you're in your pre-op phase because of those same hard, honest conversations. They're hard, they suck, they're not always nice, but you have to realize when you're selling yourself and when you're being honest with yourself. And when you take the time to really, really listen and dial in exactly where those thoughts are coming from, you can then begin that slow mindset shift. And it's going to come back. Like, don't think you're just going to have that raw, honest conversation one time and be like, oh, well, I got that out of the way. Now I'm just going to live, have a clear mind for the rest of the time that I'm here on the planet. Doesn't work that way. It's, it's going to come back around, but you have to, once you build your toolbox of these coping skills and different tools that we have that come along with the surgery that we have and the mindset work that we do, you'll be better prepared for the next time that one of those thoughts comes along, and you'll know how to combat that. So I just would say start with having those raw, honest conversations with yourself. Pick a point where you want to start and just start. You're never gonna, if you sit back and have analysis paralysis on how the best way to start or what it may look like or what it's going to look like tomorrow, just pick one thing and start. Whether that's water, whether that's vitamins, whether that's movement. Do one thing consistently for 5 days. And then once you get to the 5th day, you're going to continue to do it because it starts to become a habit at that point. You work it in and you continue to do it. Once you nail that down, you can then pick another habit to add on top of that. What's, the greatest phrase I learned post-op, which is habit stacking. And then you can just continue to do those things until, you have, until you create a nice little consistent journey for yourself.
Wow, those are great pointers, all of you guys. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And there's lots of comments coming in about people's journeys and stuff too. There is one question that came in the Q&A box. It's, how did you three meet? And this person says, in May, I'm meeting some bariatric besties that I met on TikTok, and I'm so excited. And seeing you three together made me think of that.
Oh,
So
that's so awesome.
yeah, tell us, because you guys, now it's going on
5 years.
I was just gonna say 4 or 5.
Yeah, it'll be 5 years in May.
Yeah.
No, it'll be 5 years in March, actually, that we met, like, for the first time online. Because I had surgery March 11th of 2020, and 2 weeks later I was in your virtual I was trying to get into your virtual bariatric meetup. So April is a teacher by trade, and so she was used to virtual teaching because she worked at an online high school. She was a dean of students, and so she decided when the world shut down from COVID, she was going to start hosting virtual bariatric meetups. So she would set up a Zoom much like this, have PowerPoint presentations and do the whole nine for anybody that wanted to join. It was a free link. You could just click on the Zoom link and, get in the waiting room just like this and be let in, unless you're me. So this was around the time that Zoom was having the issue with Russian trolls hacking everybody's Zoom, and everybody was going crazy, and it was a whole thing. And so I was 2 weeks post-op, didn't know anything. I didn't even use my Instagram. I just happened to dust it off because somebody was like, oh, there's a huge, bariatric community on Instagram. And I was like, I didn't have any support because I got sent home 5 days after my surgery from the office, and that's where all my support was. And so I'm trying to get into this Zoom because it's like I set my alarm on my phone. I was going to be ready to go, and I try to get in, and I don't get let in, and I'm like, oh well. So I tried again, and I knew nothing about Zoom. So I'm trying to get in, not knowing if I'm messing up or what. So after like the 3rd time, she lets me in, and there's like 7 people in there, and here I come late. It's almost 10 minutes late at this point. So I'm like, great. First time getting to do anything like this. I'm late. I don't know what I'm doing. And she's like, she's in there, she's like, you know, are you in the right spot? And I'm like, I thought so. I was like, and she's like, well, did you have surgery? And I was like, yes, ma'am. And she's like, oh, well, when did you have surgery? So I've explained to her, I'm like, I'm 2 weeks post-op. And so at that point, she kind of lets her guard down and lets me in, and we start talking about stuff. And as I'm sitting here in this meeting, I'm asking all the questions because I literally know nothing. And I'm comfortable about like this on camera talking in front of people, and her and I are batting back and forth, and there's really not anybody else saying a whole lot in this meeting. So when it's over, she's like, hey, can you stay behind? And I'm like, oh, damn, I'm already in trouble. Like, I didn't need, first I'm late. Now I've spoke too much. Now I've taken over the whole meeting and now I'm in trouble. I was like, I'm not going to get to come back. Like, I don't know what I've done. And so she, we get to talking and she was like, well, you're really comfortable on screen and on camera doing these things. Like, I've always thought about doing a podcast. Would you be willing to do that with me? And I was like, well, yeah. I was like, we can figure that out. I kind of do something similar to that now as it is. And we had a couple of different meetings that lasted a couple of weeks long. And then by April, we were hammering out a podcast. And then Natalie was a listener of the podcast
Yeah.
and she found us through an episode.
Well, I had been, so my surgery, I had lost my grandma in June of 2020 and decided to have surgery a month later. I would sign the papers. My first day of my pre-op diet was July 1st. And I thought, there's no way I can do this by myself. There's no way. I need community of some sort. And I just went on Spotify and I found our Sleeve Life podcast and East to West WLS. And that was April and Jason, pre-Bari-Nation. And they were great. And there was an episode where April had her therapist at the time on, and they were talking about just the choices that you can make leading up to these bigger changes in your life, and it really resonated. And so I went on my Instagram. I said, "What Jason said on this podcast is so great." And then Jason and I start talking, and then he invites me on the podcast. April calls me and or says, "Can I call you? Can we chat for a little bit? Just want to make sure that you understand how to be on a podcast, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, sounds good. We talk, and I don't talk on the phone. Like these two know, I don't like talking on the phone. I don't like, I'm a texting queen. Like text me, don't call me. Um, April and I talk on the phone for 3.5 hours, random evening. And I finally went, should we save this for the podcast? Just, oh yeah, I think we should. And then next day went on the podcast, and again, we could not stop talking. We just kept going and going. And I was unemployed at the time, with COVID and recovering from surgery. So they said, we need help with social media, we need help here and there. And I was like, yeah, use me. I'm here for it. I love it. And then, yeah, a year later, we got to meet, all three of us. I had met April a little bit earlier, in person, but we all three got to meet in person at the very first Bariatric Society retreat. And that was so much fun. And yeah, BariNation was born on the same day that we got to meet in person, and it was just history from there. But meet your internet friends, meet them, figure it out, make it happen. If you have to fly across the country, we have flown several times across the country since we've known each other, just to hang out and be together. And it can be hard. And that's where BariNation comes in. We know how hard it can be. And like April said before, it's a financial commitment to fly and travel. And we hope that we can kind of bridge that gap, in the meantime. But meeting my internet friends was the best thing I could have ever done. So
Absolutely.
We had forgotten to mention your podcast. So guys, they also have a podcast too. So feel free to check that out. Or if you guys are okay with it, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show them
Yeah,
some of the ways that they can connect with you, because I pulled them up right before we got on here. So I am going
absolutely.
to.
Yeah, we're 220 or 230 episodes into the podcast now, pretty close. And yeah, you can check us out on any podcast player that you have, or YouTube's good because you get to see our faces. We're very animated, as you can tell from this from this meeting this evening. So
Oh
5-year
my gosh.
anniversary in March. Yes.
I can't hardly believe it's been that much time. I remember meeting you guys right after, I think it was the first time you guys first met. I think it was at the Bariatric Society
Yeah, it definitely was.
retreat.
It was.
Okay, I am pulling up it may go to a random screen, so bear with me here because I have so much stuff pulled up. Right before you guys came on, I'm like, okay, I'm pulling up all these different things. So we have we'll talk about ProCare, our sponsor, also here in just a second, but I'm going to pop on. If you go to BariNation.com, that's where you guys can find this wonderful platform. I'll also show you how you can find it off ProCare website because we do have a link. We've been supporters of BariNation. Here you'll see community, you'll see podcast, practice partners, their shop. So that's a great way just to kind of start and kind of check them out. So just simply BariNation.com. Their YouTube channel, if you go there, you'll find all kinds. Make sure and subscribe. That way you'll have access when new editions of things are released, and that way you can see firsthand when something newly is going. And then we have here the ProCare Health YouTube channel. We have that. I had that pulled up. We also have BariNation Instagram page, so you can chat with them, talk with them, see new ideas that are being posted on that. We have the BariNation up. I thought I had Facebook. They also have a BariNation Facebook page. I don't have that pulled up, but just lots and lots of ways to connect. I'm gonna go pop back onto the ProCare channel because I can show you from there. They are actually, when we go over here under this tab under ProCareNow.com, in case you're just listening to the podcast later, there is a tab that says partner programs under body and soul resources. And when you click on that, you can open that up, and it has a link to get to BariNation under that to learn more. So we have that. And then I also just want to mention ProCare Health is our sponsor today, and I am very thankful that they have been supportive of all of us as being part of a community. We've always admired BariNation. They've always been particular to helping out with being, I guess, supportive of our products. Tell us, you guys, what is your favorite products on the website? Each of you, I guess, real quickly, just kind of share that.
My favorite is the calcium chocolate, hands down. It forever has my heart. I love it, especially, well, during the summer, it's harder to get, so I stock up in the spring, but it's definitely an easier way for me to get in my calcium. But I've been taking the one a day multivitamin for 3 years now, and I've had great labs ever since, and I haven't looked back. So I love the ones with like the orange coating on the outside, a lot easier to take. And yeah, so the calcium chocolate and the multivitamins are my go-to.
Yeah, I've been doing since you guys came out with the formula specifically for SADI and DS, like I've been on those really heavy after I was just doing the regular one a days until I had my revision, and then Brenda turned me on to the SADI DS Max vitamins. So we've been taking those since my revision, which has been amazing. And the salted caramel calcium chews are my jam. I eat those by the handful, which Brenda said it's okay. So I take Brenda's word for it because she's a professional. So
I've been struggling so much with my vitamins lately, and actually we're talking about it in Bari-Nation this week. I moved my ProCare one a day to my nightstand, and every night when I get ready to go night-night, I'm like, oh, vitamin, take. So that is my absolute favorite product right now because it's one a day, sits on my nightstand, a little bit of water, good to go. I am thrilled that I am becoming more consistent with my vitamins.
Yeah, I totally get it, April. I had to start using a medicine, like the medicine containers where you have to pop lids, and I have to set it in a place where I can see it because
yes.
reminders. It's like, holy cow. Well, we do have some, actually we do, this is the product, the little flash that just that came on here at the top, the border, mentioned the product that Jason was talking about. This here is also mentioning the calcium dark chocolates. They are on sale right now because they're going to be going out. There is a code, Final Bits. We also have some support products here. Support your heart, 20% off. I'll show you what these look like. We also have a 2025 bariatric guide. practical steps for body and soul, which I'll kind of pop onto here in a moment. So when we're talking about let's see, when we're talking about the DS products here, we just updated our DS SADI products. We actually have two versions right now. One of them is the core, which has everything in it that most people would normally need as being a DS SADI patient. We have a chewable and then we have a capsule form. The chewables in fruit punch has 60 milligrams of iron, and the capsule is same. And then we have this little additional product called DSA SADI Plus, which is additional A, D, E, and K, which are your fat soluble vitamins, which some people need a little extra of. So those are all what you got there. I want to pop onto the calcium dark chocolates because that one is right now on sale. That code that we talked about earlier on the front screen. Whoops. Have to remember what it was here. All these little screens popping up, pop-ups. I think it's called vinyl. Whoops, vinyl. It just popped over. Vinyl bite. So the calcium dark chocolates, you'll get 10% off at the checkout by using Vinyl Bites. And then we also have heart healthy supplements that are on sale right now. The code is listed on that front page as well. So we have those. We do offer a price match guarantee, guys. So if you are purchasing products and you see something else that's comparable, but it's lower, we have that new price match guarantee so that we can match those products. I am actually going to share these. BariNation does have a code. They are an affiliate of ProCare, so you can actually save additional with their code. I'm not sure if you can use two codes like at checkout. You could try, but I think it's just one or the other. BariNation is 10% off with code BariNation. I'll paste it in the chat box here.
April, who's going to be on the podcast this week?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I was trying to go through my 8,000 tabs. I have a sneaking suspicion it is, I don't want to misspeak. We have
Christine said ASMBS.
Oh my gosh, my friends. We had the honor of interviewing the president of the American Association for Bariatric and Metabolic Surgery, Dr. Ann Rogers, and she is our podcast guest this week. And let me tell you, she is fired up and she is ready to change how obesity is talked about and treated here in the United States and abroad. If you are looking for a conversation that is fired up and really puts patient needs front and center, this week's episode is absolutely for you. It drops on Wednesday. All three of us, or was it? I think all three of us were able to speak with her. She's an amazing woman.
Wasn't there. It was just you and me.
She's an amazing woman, an amazing professional, president of that board, and she is on a mission to really move the needle when it comes to obesity treatment. And it is a phenomenal episode.
That is, I have to say that'll be worth listening to.
Yeah,
and for those of you guys who don't know what the ASMBS is, do you want to explain to them what that is? Or do you want me to? You probably
know. Well, I'm certainly happy to. So the ASMBS is kind of the governing body for bariatric and metabolic surgery here in the United States and abroad. So they set the standards of care. They're the ones that provide like the vitamin guidelines, the surgical guidelines. It's where the surgeons and people who are in obesity care can access ongoing treatment. It's really where they come together as this giant body of professionals looking to treat the disease of obesity and talk about the advancements that they can make to make treatment more effective. So the ASMBS is an extremely important organization that we as patients really need to be kind of connected to and aware of, because that is the organization that is pushing for expanded access to care when it comes to the treatment of obesity. An amazing organization. We've had the honor of being able to attend twice now. It's their annual conference. It is the group that is pushing obesity treatment into the future.
Wonderful. Well, guys, go out there, subscribe to BariNation YouTube channel, podcast on all major podcast stations. Check out the BariNation website. Check out ProCare Health, where you can it links to BariNation under their partner programs. And go out there. If you decide that since ProCare is our sponsor, we do offer free samples. Go out there, try some free samples. If you've already tried them and you're wanting to get your match of chocolates, go out there, use the coupon code, get some good products under BariNation. When you do go to the checkout, you can use BariNation and you'll get 10% off. April has included. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. We appreciate you and ProCare. You've been on our corner from the very beginning. You value patient voice. You were always looking to meet the needs of members of our community, and we just appreciate you all just deeply. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, April. I appreciate you guys too. I have loved getting to know you guys and just seeing you different places. It always brightens my day, and I love your smiles and always adds to the good vibes of the day.
Thank you, Brenda. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And for everybody on this call, thank you for showing up for yourself, because this was a decision and choice you made for yourself to be a part of the community, to spend a little time for yourself, doing something for you, and getting better and better every day. Because these classes, these pieces are all part of just self-love, self-appreciation. So we love that. Everybody have a great night, and thank you so much. We'll see you we'll see you again, and let's all stay very connected. Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody.